Phaedra is on stage, and she is expressing her emotions, and I think the visualization is that she's actually letting her beautiful blonde hair cascade over her shoulders, and that is always a sign that a woman has abandoned her sense of restraint, and then all sorts of interesting X-rated, or at least R-rated things can happen in terms of the ancient Greek song culture. And here she is saying at the beginning, at line 199, the fastenings of my dear limbs have come apart, le-lū-tai. And so just as the chariot team of Hippolytus comes apart, her whole cosmos, her whole cosmetic identity as being in order from a perfectly good hairdo all the way down comes apart, le-lū-tai. And that is the verb that is built into the name of Hippolytus, where the chariot team's organization is undone. And then she refers to her hair. My hair, all done up on top of my head, is a heavy load to bear. Take out my hair pinnings. Let the curls of my hair cascade over my shoulder.
Be clear.
It's there. It's all spelled out. And then, look at this. She's going to have two kinds of fantasies. One is to be exercising with young men. And in particular, driving a chariot, just as Hippolytus drives his chariot on this solitary beach. She wants to be there. So that's one thing she wants to do. Another thing she wants to do is to hunt. And that's what we're starting with here. Take me to the mountains. I will go to the woods, to the pine trees, where the beast-killing hounds track their prey, getting closer and closer to the dappled deer. And at this point, she is so into this picture that she actually imagines herself painted as Artemis in a picture and about to throw a hunting javelin. And she's even imagining how the hunting javelin is in the foreground and her beautiful blonde hair is streaming in the background, caressed by the winds. And of course, that's an X-rated thing. A woman should be wearing a veil in public, not letting her hair cascade to her shoulders and then have it blown by the wind and then being painted like that. It's okay for Artemis to be seen like that, but not a respectable queen, not Phaedra. And then the nurse, of course, who's the superego, who's reprimanding Phaedra. Why is the hunt your concern? And why do you feel a passionate desire for streams flowing from craggy heights? You can go to the local fountain here in the city. What's with you, Phaedra? And then Phaedra is delirious. My lady Artemis, you who preside over the lagoon by the sea, that's where Hippolytus is racing. You are where the place is for exercising. See, she wants to exercise like the boys. And it thunders, this beach does, with horses' hooves. Oh, if only I could be there on your grounds, masterfully driving Venetian horses. She's going to be the chariot driver. And it gets better. And then the nurse says, one moment you're going up the mountain to hunt, all right? And you're getting all set in your longing to do that. And then the next moment, you're heading for the beach, sheltered from the splashing waves in your passionate desire for the horses, in other words, for driving the chariot. So it's all here.
Right.
And it's expressed by Phaedra in such an innocent way. I just want to look like Artemis. And Artemis does this with the boys. She presides over their hunting experiences. She presides over their exercises, as in the case of driving chariots. I want to be that. So it's not even totally sexualized, although the nurse is saying, oh, you're thinking very dangerous sexual thoughts, and this is X-rated, and certainly the loose hair accentuates that. All right, not X-rated, but R-rated atmosphere.
So, I mean, should we be thinking about this use of eros-tai, this passionate desire, in the context of Artemis, who is not about sexual intercourse? So is there a disconnect there?
Well, there's a disconnect there because what's missing in this picture, it's Aphrodite. And you're quite right. Even when Hippolytus talks about his devotion for Artemis, if you look at the original Greek, it's always full of sexual innuendo. So yes, Hippolytus speaks to and about Artemis in a sexual way, but he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that there's something missing in this picture. And again, it's that very important theme of heroic incompleteness, which can be completed only in the here and now of ritual, when Artemis and Aphrodite do interact in a synergistic way for us normal humans, when we ritualize our lives in terms of hunting, driving chariots, sex, all of that. Everything has a place. I'm using only the example of men, but we could also say about women. Everything has its place where Aphrodite and Artemis have their own functions. But here, that passionate desire is to be with Hippolytus, and that means to be Artemis, or to look like Artemis. That's a god-hero antagonism, isn't it? And think of the fact that Phaedra means moon glow. So when we talked about menstruation, for example, well, Phaedra, as moon glow, is the embodiment of somebody who menstruates, who when married can experience childbirth, and all of those Artemis-related things that have to do with the moon in the worldview of Greek myth-making.
So it's about that connection.
Yes.
Can you say a word or two about the final sentence?
Yes. Which one of the gods is steering you off course and deflects your thinking, child? Well, we know who it is.
Right.
It's the elephant in the room. And it's what, in a sense, Phaedra doesn't get, Hippolytus doesn't get, because that kind of integration only we get in the present of the ritual world, that sets things straight, that integrates the picture.
And it's that thinking, right? When your thinking is off, then it's that steering off course, and you're going to crash.
You're going to crash, and they both crash each in their own way. Yes.